We've been growing 4 or 5, coming on 6 years, and we've been so lean from the beginning. We're bootstrapped, and so we are really careful about where we spent our money and always focused on profitability.
Hey everyone, this is Nazar Akil from Max Pro.
Hi, I'm Linda.
And I'm Paul.
And we're 11 Pebbles.
Hi, this is Lopa Vandermersch from Rasa.
Oh, you're listening to...
And you're listening. And you are listening to the E-Comm Show.
Welcome to the Ecom Show, presented by BlueTuskr, the #1 place to hear the inside scoop from other e-commerce experts, where they share their secrets on how they scaled their business and are now living the dream. Now, here is your host, Andrew Maff.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ecom Show. I'm your host, Andrew Maff, and today I'm joined by the amazing Kayleigh Christina of CLEARSTEM Skincare. Kayleigh, how are you doing? You ready for a good show?
Doing great today. I'm ready for a great show. Thanks for having me on.
I'm so excited for this one. What's the best way for me to put it? I very much relate to this background of everything. My skin was horrible growing up in high school. We're going to get into it. Let's pretend no one knows who you are.
I love it. Personally, I love talking to someone who just gets it. So I'm really excited.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do the usual. And why don't you kind of give everyone a little bit of insight into, obviously more about CLEARSTEM, your background, all that fun stuff. We'll go from there.
Awesome. So I'll kick it off with CLEARSTEM. CLEARSTEM, we are the only anti-acne, anti-aging, non-toxic skincare company. Our big reason why is because, and you'll know this, Andrew, is anti-acne products just completely destroy your skin. Like it rips apart your skin barrier, makes you really sun sensitive, irritates your skin, which in turns actually ends up causing accelerated aging. So long-term use of acne products are accelerated aging of your skin, are developing wrinkles faster, are thinning your skin barrier. And then you have anti-aging products that are typically just filled with a ton of pore clogging ingredients and synthetic fillers that end up causing acne. So you have people that struggle with skin issues like acne, and it can be really bad cystic acne, or it can just be every once in a while you're struggling with some breakouts, not knowing where they're coming from, and you want to be using anti-aging because we're all getting older, and it ends up just making it worse. So we really wanted to create a line that was dual functioning for both, helping with acne no matter the severity, and at the same time restoring the skin barrier, increasing hydration, minimizing wrinkles, and really tackling that anti-aging.
So with that, though, I will say wildly competitive space that you're in. So I know there's aspects of your brand that are clearly differentiated from your competition. Do you want to get a little bit into what that is?
Yeah, I think it's really the approach and education behind acne and aging that's never been done before. So Danielle, my co-founder, we always say that our first and leading product really is education, because without the education, the products don't work as well, right? The products work amazing in itself, but if you aren't tackling the actual root causes of acne is always going to come back. So one of the root causes is pore clogging ingredients. So if you don't remove the products that you're already using that have pore clogging ingredients, with big ones are moisturizers, SPFs, hair conditioner. For women, it's foundation, bronzers, blush, primers. All of those are typically ridden with pore clogging ingredients. And there's a lot of amazing makeup, hair care that doesn't have them. But if you're consistently using that, you're still going to break out. If the root cause is a digestive issue, a gut imbalance, is over supplementation of certain supplements that ends up causing a hormonal imbalance, you'll have hormonal acne. And so we educate about all these root causes so our products work even better, because they're creating a lot of change the outside of the skin, but if you're working on tackling those internal root causes, that's only going to transform your skin that much more. And we lead with our education through our website, social media. Danielle and I host master classes. We have a Ditch Your Acne course that helps people get to the root cause of their acne and addressing all of these. But by leading with education and then creating products that truly work functionally and create change in people's skin, the blend of the two has really had us put our mark in the space.
Nice. So when I was mostly in high school, but also when I was in middle school, horrible. And I went through countless things. I can't remember most of them. I remember some horror stories of like overusing one and then like the next day waking up and it was horrendous. But it
Yeah.
did get to a point where I did end up actually using Accutane. And that was a big, like, had to go through like different, like, I had to talk to therapists for a little while because they were worried that there was stuff outside of that of like a couple of things that happened with kids that took them. And like, it
Yep.
was
It's linked to a lot of mental health issues
mhm,
with Accutane because of it has really rough side effects for
yeah,
mental and physical health. And yeah, for women, you have to take like multiple pregnancy tests while you're on it, like every week, every 2 weeks, because it causes a lot of birth defects. You have some doctors will have you meet with therapists once or twice a week, and like it's crazy. Like I laugh.
yeah,
It's not funny, but I laugh because it's like it's insane to me. Like it's insane to me that people get put on it with all these side effects. But I do understand, like, especially like I remember when I was a teenager, everyone was on Accutane. Like there was
mhm,
no real other option for severe acne. I had so many friends that went through it. Danielle went through it 3 times. Her acne came back every time. And so it's, I'm glad you can touch on that because it's rough going through that. Really
oh yeah.
rough.
Side effects were worse depending on
Mm-hmm.
how you look at it. But
Yeah. Right.
um, so let's talk about the business a little bit. Obviously, I know you're D2C. You have your own website. Are you selling anywhere else besides your own website? Amazon, Walmart, eBay, any of that fun stuff in retail?
Yes. We're on Amazon, and then we're in about a little over 300 wholesale/retail locations. A bulk of them are in estheticians, dermatologist offices, and then some different non-toxic beauty boutiques and fun stores like Neighborhood Goods.
Beautiful. So obviously, I know you've cleared that hard 7-figure mark that's always really tough for a lot of sellers to pass. What would you say is your biggest differentiator, or what would you say kind of allowed you to get over that hurdle? Because you think most, especially in skincare, which is incredibly competitive, or anything really on the cosmetic side, is very difficult. And then you have in your area, especially if you start selling on Amazon or even a handful of things on Google, like you got to jump through some hoops to get approved to do certain things. Like, what really has allowed you guys to kind of continue to grow?
It was definitely a compounding effect. And what I'll say to everyone is be patient. We've been growing 4 or 5, coming on 6 years, and we've been so lean from the beginning. We're bootstrapped. And so we are really careful about where we spent our money and always focused on profitability. And any ads and performance marketing that we started running, we wouldn't do it unless we were achieving a 2x or higher and working really hard to get to that point and not operating within the negative. On top of that, we've built a really strong community based on education. So Danielle and I get in front of our own community a lot. What's been really important to me, I'm very focused on community building. I think that's what builds a long-standing brand with people who will truly be your foot soldiers for you as far as referrals go. And one of those aspects is we answer every DM and email that comes through. And we have a lot of people that are sharing their entire skin story, asking for help, asking for resources. So we have a team of 5 people in our DMs because we get more DMs than we get emails.
Jeez.
5 people in the DMs,
Yeah.
answering questions, making sure people are feeling seen, feeling heard. And so that's where most of our employees have gone through, is like building out our partnership programs with ambassadors, social media, and our customer service. And that's where the bulk of our employees are. And it's really having all those touch points with the customers to make sure we're not just building to just add more customers, but loyal customers in a community standpoint. So I think it's the combination of really strong community building, connecting with our customer, at the same time being really smart about performance ads and keeping an eye on what is our CAC, what is our ROAS, if something's working, pouring more money into it, having multiple eyes on things that aren't working. We've definitely caught inflation of numbers throughout different accounts. So we use a lot of different attribution softwares that can find the level of truth. So we aren't completely burning cash when something's saying it's positive and it's not. So we pay heavy attention to numbers.
So, a couple things you mentioned there, a lot to dive into. One, I'm sure there are several people who are going to listen to this episode and hear you say your target's a 2x ROAS, and they're going to be like, what? That's it? Like, they'd be broke. However, I'm going to bet you've probably got a pretty nice returning customer rate. I'll bet your LTV is tolerable, right? So can you tell
Yes.
me a little bit about like how you calculate that when you're looking at your advertising?
Definitely. And I will be mindful, we never dip below a 2. So we definitely shoot a lot higher from that.
Yeah.
I would say Facebook, Instagram, we're hovering like closer to a 3. And yes, our average order value is a lot higher. So because I'm going to be a lot more open with numbers because that's who I'm talking to on this. And I want people to understand value. Our average order value is about $90. And so yes, getting a 2X, 3X ROAS is really strong for us. We have a really high conversion rate on our website too for dumping and things. We have about like a 4.5% conversion rate. So
Nice.
we dump a lot of time and energy into increasing that conversion rate on our website. And then we do have a high retention rate as well. So because skincare is so different than food and beverage and other things, right? Like once someone sees a difference from their skincare, they use it every single morning and every single night, and they don't switch until they stop seeing results and they're like pushed to the point of, oh my God, this isn't working for me anymore. I have to try something else. And that's just the mindset of the skincare consumer. And so we are in an industry that develops naturally very loyal customers if something works for them.
That makes sense. You also mentioned though that you've got 5 people, I think you said it was, that are all managing your DMs. I know both you, Danielle, you both have a nice size influencer side of like nice size following of Instagram followers as well. Same as obviously the business. So I'm sure, are they managing all 3 of the profiles?
They're managing. So all 5 of those are managing ClearStems. Danielle and I are mainly in our own DMs. I definitely don't have the capacity to answer all the DMs in mine. I'll answer a lot like voice memos when I can. If I see more in-depth questions that come in through mine, I do direct them to our support that can get a little more one-on-one white glove service than I would be able to provide in the middle of my day. So I usually send them that direction.
How do you walk that fine line? Because especially in your industry where, you can't really say like, oh, you should do this, because you usually have to caveat it with, you should probably consult a doctor kind of thing. Like a lot of the sellers we work with that are on like the supplement side or something like that, like you really want to help them and you probably know what the answer is, but you have to like, unfortunately, I can't be the one to give you that. How do you manage that?
Yes. So especially in the world of like one of the biggest questions we get all the time, like, is this pregnancy safe? That's a huge one. So that one we immediately blanket statement, have to consult with your doctor, push towards that. For all other ones, so for like a lot of our people come to us because they're struggling with acne, and we have kind of a bullet point list of the root causes of acne for them to address first. So talking through pore clogging ingredients. For example, something really big that causes acne in anyone who's acne prone is over supplementation of vitamin D, zinc, and B12. All 3 of those trigger testosterone production in excess. Again, very important functions to our body, great for supplementing, but a lot of times you'll turn over a supplement and it'll be like 40,000% of your recommended daily value of B12, which is insane. And so we've seen, based on Danielle having her acne clinic for the last 8 years and all of our research in the acne space, we've seen when people go over, anywhere between 150 and 400% of the recommended daily value of those supplements, we've seen it to trigger acne. So we'll address with people the root causes based on the experience in the clinic and research, what we have seen to cause acne, and to check these things first. Like that's how we'll phrase things. So we can get people a starting point on their own without, like you said, like the liability, checking with your doctor. But there's a lot of white paper on the increased testosterone production with excess of those supplements. So we do have the research backing for those.
Nice. It's a good process, solid process.
Yeah.
Let's pivot a little bit to your marketing strategy. I know it's primarily on the social media side. Am I correct?
Yes.
What's your approach there? What do you think has been really allowing you to kind of continue to scale it out?
Yeah. So on the organic side of things, because we really did grow significantly organically before we ever put money into performance marketing. So when we started, TikTok didn't even really exist. So Instagram was the main thing to focus on, Instagram/Facebook. And so we've always been really clear to take all of our education and value that we're driving beyond our products, and make it really digestible information on social media. So people can go to our social pages and get value of some form, whether it is root causes of acne, other skin issues, or how to use our products and what products are best. So we cycle through. We also love just bringing in, we're really big on mental health. So just bringing in some like funny memes and like stuff that'll make people laugh too. Like we want people to come to learn and laugh and just it be really light, fun information, kind of like a breath of fresh air. And since the evolvement of TikTok, we have transferred a lot of that to TikTok as well, as keeping it educational, fun, laughing, but informative at the same time. So that's really been our organic approach to everything. And then as far as on the paid side of things, we do really focus on, again, what are the root missions of our company, and looking at what performs really well organically and how can we recreate this into an ad form while maybe changing some things up. So there's more of a hook in the beginning. It just captures people's attention faster, but the same type of valuable information that people are loving organically.
So from an organic perspective, TikTok, I think, is a little bit of a different beast because you have the For You page and it getting discovered is a little bit easier, especially in the beginning when they're just throwing impressions at everyone and everyone's spending all their day on there anyway. But from an Instagram perspective, starting off and getting enough traction just organically can be tough if you're simply just posting and that's about it. Mm-hmm. What was your approach? Was it, I'm sure it was a mix of everything, but you also get the people that will spend some time doing outreach and having conversations, with the profile on other people's profiles, or are you also kind of including an influencer approach? Like what specifically got the organic aspect to get moving?
Yeah, in the very beginning, because I always want to keep things really applicable for people, because I want to share where we're at now, but also the tactics we used when we were super, super lean, spending no money on any of this. So in the very beginning, we were gifting a lot of product, but very intentionally. I want to be so key on that. I think where I realized this was so important is because I did have some experience on the influencer side and saw how different companies reached out and the relationships that were built on it. And I also saw how companies can be tricked by followers, thinking that because someone has like a high follower count, it's going to perform. And so I was very clear, not only with when I was building it, but then when we had an intern that was then promoted to full time to grow this department, that you need to look on the community that the influencer has built. Are they producing valuable information? Are people commenting, asking questions? Are they doing a lot of Q&A stories where they're engaging with their community and truly building a valuable community? And then does the values of that influencer align with the values of your company? Because you want to work with different influencers that match the same demographics as your company. So our biggest demographic is women between the ages of 24 and 36 that are really passionate about health and wellness. They might be just starting off their passion within health and wellness and like figuring things out. They might be a little bit farther along. So we're looking for influencers who are driving value in that same area, that if they were to talk about ClearStem, they are talking to our direct audience. So that was so important. So in the very beginning, I was looking for health coaches, people building really strong communities within the wellness space. It was a little less flat fashion blogger for me because fashion bloggers were using more of the like Sephora type products and it wasn't going to be in alignment. So it was a lot more focused in the health and wellness space and not super strong in the fitness space where they might have been using, there's like the toxic side of the fitness space and then like the health and wellness side of it, right? So, so I had to be careful in the fitness industry too, like who we were partnering with, and I'd gift the product and I wouldn't even ask to post. I'd be like, hey, these are our brand missions and values. This is what we help with. What are your skincare goals? What are your skincare concerns? I'd love to send you product to help with that. And then just get your general feedback. And when we approached it in such a way, people naturally posted about it. It wasn't an aggressive, like, I'm going to send you this, you have to post. And then from there, if they loved it, then I started to build out an ambassador program where they could get set up. And we use Grin now, but at the time, more cost effective, we were using Reversion. And we're getting them set up with a code to gift 15% off to their community, and then they get commission on the back end. But again, we'd only work with people that were using it and then loved it. And then we would talk about a partnership. Hey, if you want to be talking about ClearStem, sharing it with your community, you can get commission on the back end. But again, always rooted in, do they love ClearStem? In the very beginning, Danielle and I would get on Zoom calls with every influencer that we brought on in that capacity so they could understand who we are, our brand story, what we're about, and build that relationship. And I think that is the reason why that's led to such a strong influencer marketing program. We call it our ambassador program. And yeah, truly, that's what's led to the success of it.
Wow, that's a very interesting approach. Especially with, a product like yours and your price point of just seeding and giving away product and hoping that they post is obviously, sometimes risky in the beginning, but not if it works out, obviously. One thing I was going to ask you is, you mentioned obviously if they post about it and they love it, then you offer them, basically becoming some kind of an ambassador and starting to develop a relationship with them that way. What about what size influencers are you working with? Because usually from an influencer perspective, they get over like a certain amount of followers. They don't want commission. They just want a flat rate. And they're kind of a little, depends on who you're talking to, but what's been your approach there?
We've since upgraded to recently doing some paid campaigns with some higher level influencers just to reach a larger amount of people. But for the first 5 years, we didn't pay anyone except for just commission, but we never paid to post. Actually, one of our consistent top performers for the last, 3 or 4 years at this point, she has like 5,500 followers. And she is just built. She's a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. She not only has clients, but just drives like such strong value of all her information. And her buying community is just, ride or die, lives by everything she says. And so some of our top performers are well under 20,000. I'd say like the sweet spot has been between some of those low, like really, really strong communities around 5,000 to 10,000 followers. But I'd say the majority of the sweet spot has been between like 10 and 60,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they still have
right.
those high conversions. They build a really strong community. Yeah. You start, just naturally as you scale, like, you lose the community aspect of things a little bit more.
Yeah. So one of the things that, I guess not out of the influencer side, but out of what most of this conversation has been around like kind of the self-care and obviously it's a little bit more towards the skincare side. However, I usually like to kind of end these shows with some kind of insight into how you take care of yourself being an entrepreneur in the space. Because anyone that's at an e-commerce seller that's of this size, it's a grind day in and day out. It's exhausting. You have ups, you have downs. What is your approach, and obviously your co-founder Danielle's approach, to making sure that you're taking care of yourselves to basically make sure that you can also take care of your business?
I was joking about this to a friend literally yesterday because I was talking about how a couple years ago I had like a 2-hour morning routine. I'd wake up at like 4:50 or 5 a.m. and work out and then journal and then meditate and then make breakfast. It was like a whole thing. And then I'd get work done for like an hour, 2 hours, and I'd be exhausted like, from having that long of a morning routine. And I feel like sometimes as entrepreneurs, we can feel really pressured in two different directions: pressured to not have a morning routine, or pressured for like, you have to do more, if you do all these things, you have to journal, you have to meditate, and it'd be really intense. And I think you just need to find your happy zone of where you can feel your best and most productive without wearing yourself out. So for me, I sleep a little bit longer than I used to. Like I wake up at 7 a.m. now, which I get like a solid 8.5 hours of sleep. Like I'm usually on calls for like 8 or 9 hours during the day, and it's a lot of brain power. And so I've realized I need a lot more sleep than I used to show up and give my all brain power all day, every day. So I sleep until about 7, and I get up and I do a workout about 30, maybe 40 minutes, but I keep it just short and sweet. I drink a lot of water in the morning with my element, my electrolytes, all that good stuff. And then I grab my coffee and I get in front of my computer, and then I end up having a lunch a few hours later. But what I noticed is that morning routine just works really well for me. I'll journal a lot if I maybe take a couple days if I'm like traveling, or take a couple days off here and there. But I go through waves of journaling. I get meditations in different ways. I'll do yoga sometimes. I'll do breath work every once in a while, but it's not an everyday thing. I do a lot of reflective work. Sometimes when I first wake up, I'll just visualize my entire day and how I want it to go. And then when I notice anxiety, stress, pressure is higher, I have quite a few meditations downloaded on my phone that'll be my go-to tools for that. So that definitely goes in waves, but a short and sweet morning routine, and then just eating really well. I'm very not strict on eating. It's more strict on my quality. I'm very strict on my quality of eating. I don't eat junk food. I don't snack a lot. I thrive off of feeling good from what I eat. And so keeping my meals like rice, like a bunch of different veggies, some different types of proteins for lunch and dinner just makes me feel my best every single day. So I just lean into eating what makes me feel my best. Because if I'm eating junk food or snacking in the middle of the day, I'm going to be tired and I'm going to want to take a nap. So I focus on things that like really fuel me up, keep me energized. And then if I want to be a little more indulgent at some point, it's like a little more indulgent in the evening or on something on the weekend, but I'm so cognizant of the effect that food has on my energy levels and on my mind. And to be honest, I don't really like quote treat meals or cheat meals that much because I don't like feeling like crap. So I naturally like that keeps me from eating like crap is because I don't like feeling that way. So just kind of naturally works out that way.
Nice. It was really refreshing to hear what you said in the beginning there too, because you read all this stuff online and it's like, you got to get up at 3 a.m., go for a run, come back, read 4 books, then go for a second run, and then maybe have breakfast. Like, it's like, okay, I can't do that.
Right. And like it messes
ridiculous
with your hormone levels. Like if you want to do like a week or 2 stint of that and just like test some things out, that's fine. But when we're not getting proper sleep and pushing our bodies to that extreme, and then later in the day, pushing our bodies mentally to the extreme, like physically and mentally in the same day and not getting sleep, like we're just asking for health problems to be festering at some point. It might start coming up in a few months, might come up in a year or 2, but it's going to arise because those things really just like wreck our nervous and immune system.
Oh yeah. Kayleigh, thank you so much.
Here.
Yes. Thank you so much for being on the show. Obviously, really appreciate it. I'd love to do the normal and give you an opportunity here to let everyone know where they can find out more about you and obviously more about CLEARSTEM.
Thank you so much, Andrew. This was wonderful. Appreciate you having me on.
Not a problem. Where can they hear more about you?
You can head over to ClearStemSkincare.com. My Instagram is Kayleigh.Christina, and then on all other social channels, ClearStem Skincare.
Perfect. Kayleigh, thank you so much. Obviously, everyone who tuned in, thank you as well. Please do the usual, rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Listen to whichever podcast platform you want, or head over to ecommshow.com. But as usual, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ecomm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The Ecomm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the Ecomm Show.